Today I'm sewing and sharing the Sophie Sleep Set by Sewciety. This is a free pattern offered on their website. I've left a link for you below so you can check out all the details, grab a copy, and sew along with me. I'll be sewing both pieces on this channel, but in this video we're just going to be sewing the shorts. If you'd also like to sew the top and complete the set, you can check out that video here. So grab that pattern, cut out your fabric, mark your notches, and let's get started on the Sophie Sleep shorts. Here are my front short pieces. Before I attach my pockets, I want to finish the side seams of both of these front short pieces separately. I'm going to be using my serger. I'm going to finish the side seams separately for my back pieces as well, and I'm going to finish the entire outer edges of both pocket sets. Now grab one pocket and place it right sides together with your front short piece, lining the bottom pocket up with your notch and pin in place. And do the same for the other pocket from the set. Sew these pockets to the front side seams with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And repeat to attach your other pocket set right sides together with the side seam of your back short pieces. And then take your shorts pieces to your ironing board and open out that pocket so that it lays away from the shorts and over the seam allowance, and give that seam a really good press, doing this for all 4 of your pockets. Place a corresponding front and back short pieces right sides together, matching the side seam and the pockets, and pin in place. Then take this to your sewing machine and sew with a 1/2 inch seam allowance down from the top of the shorts to a 1/2 inch below the top of the pocket, and then pivot your stitching to sew all around the pocket at a 1/2 inch seam allowance until you're 1/2 inch into the seam allowance of the shorts once again, and then pivot your stitching to sew to the bottom of the shorts. Do this for both sets of front and back pieces. Now that the side seams and pockets are sewn, we can pin our inseams for both short sets. Sew your inseams with a 1/2 inch seam allowance and finish your seams. Turn one of your short sets right side out. Place it inside the other short set, which is wrong side out. Match your inseams and pin in place all around the front and the back. Now sew the rise of your shorts with a 1/2 inch seam allowance from the front all the way to the back of your shorts. And then finish your seam allowance. On your front and back short pieces, you have lines indicating the fold line for your casing. I've taken the top of the shorts to the ironing board and I've folded down along that fold line to the wrong side of the fabric. Additionally, I've folded the raw edges all the way around to the wrong side by 1/4 inch. I want to be adding the drawstring, so I want to prepare this area on the front side of my shorts. Taking a few scraps of interfacing measuring 1 inch by 1 inch, I want to fuse those interfacings on either side of the center front, right below the fold line that I pressed in place. Now I'm going to sew small buttonholes through this single layer of interfaced fabric. And then open up your buttonholes. Now we can fold that waistband back to the inside of the garment, pinning right over that 1/4 inch fold, all the way around. Now that I have that pinned all the way around, I'm going to sew close to this inner fold all the way around, leaving about a 2 inch gap at the start and stop of my stitching so that I can insert my elastic. I'm going to be using 1 inch wide elastic for my waistband. For the length of my elastic, I took my waist measurement and deducted 2 inches and cut the elastic to that length. Now I'm going to place a safety pin through one short end of the elastic and draw it through the casing through the opening I left in my stitching. Once the elastic comes out the other end, I'm going to overlap the two ends by about 1/2 inch and zigzag stitch back and forth to secure. Then pull that elastic fully inside the casing. And then we're going to close the opening in our stitching following the original stitching line. I've taken my drawstring to the ironing board and I folded it in half, right sides together, all the way across. Now I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and sew the 1/4 inch seam allowance along those raw edges from one side all the way to the other. Now I'm going to trim that seam allowance by about 1/2. And then I'm going to turn the drawstring right side out. Now I'm going to tie the ends of the drawstrings in a knot and insert them through my casing through my buttonholes. Grab your leg ruffle piece and fold it in half so that the short ends meet. Right sides together and pin in place. Do this for both leg ruffle pieces. Sew these short seams with a 1/2 inch seam allowance and press your seams open. Now fold your leg ruffle in half lengthwise, wrong sides together, and give that a good press. Do this for both of your leg ruffles, and then we're going to baste the raw edges all the way around. Using the longest stitch on your machine with about a 1/4 inch seam allowance, start on one side of the seam and sew all the way around until you're back on the other side of the seam, and leave thread tails on both sides so that we can pull them for gathering. Do this for both leg ruffles. Place the seam of your leg ruffle right sides together with the inseam of your shorts, matching up the raw edges of the ruffle with the raw edges of the bottom of your shorts, and pin in place. Now start pulling those ruffle gathering stitches so that the ruffle fits the bottom of the shorts all the way around. Once the gathers are distributed evenly and the ruffle fits the bottom of the shorts, go ahead and pin in place all the way around. Do this for the bottom of the shorts with both leg ruffles. And then sew the ruffles to the bottom of the shorts all the way around with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Once both of those seams are sewn, finish the raw edges. And then press your seam allowances up toward the shorts. And optionally, you can choose to top stitch your seam allowance to the bottom of the shorts, 1/8 inch above the original seam line all the way around. And now your Sophie sleep shorts are complete. Thank you for watching this sew along. Make sure you check out my other videos for more great sewing inspiration, and I'll see you in the next video.